The Lannisters send their regards.
From on-set temper tantrums to off-screen arrogance, these actors were notorious, and their fates were as shocking as their acts. Some of these deaths are so unbelievable, you might question whether karma played a role. What unfolds when off-screen bad behavior results in a destiny more twisted than any storyline in Hollywood? Many of the industry's most infamous jerks have had unexpected, strange, and even tragic deaths. And believe me, these tales are more imaginative than any screenplay they could have acted in. Want to dive deeper into the tales? Subscribe now, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Number 30. Bing Crosby. After watching this clip of Bing Crosby's family looking so happy in that Minute Maid ad, you might think he was the perfect family man, especially as a dad. But behind this picture-perfect exterior is a more complicated reality. Let's take a closer look. There was a darker side to Bing Crosby than just his charming smile and silky voice. In his autobiography, Going My Own Way, Gary Crosby revealed that his father, Bing, was not the kind parent figure people believed him to be. Gary spoke about his father's strict discipline, which included lectures and even the use of a leather belt with studs. However, it didn't end there. What was the most shocking part? According to reports, the housekeepers applied a severe kind of punishment called the drowning treatment. Kids had to face this horrifying punishment in the bathtub if they spoke in bed or woke up too early. Sadly, 2 of Crosby's kids went on to commit suicide after struggling with depression. One more shocker, Bing Crosby's unusual relationship with Bob Hope, despite their collaboration in Seven Roads movies, was anything but friendly. In fact, Bob Hope once shared with a friend that he just didn't like Bing, and at times even hated him. Crosby loved playing golf almost as much as he loved performing. After completing an 18-hole round at Lamoralea Golf Club, Bing Crosby collapsed while heading to the locker room. He was said to be happy and singing throughout the game. Unfortunately, doctors at Red Cross Hospital in Madrid pronounced him dead upon arrival, citing a heart attack as the cause of death.
For the pirate. Salute. Hey, save some for Dad now.
Number 29. Zsa Zsa Gabor. It was well known that Gabor was a really terrible person to be around. Some even compare her to modern-day Kardashian. Gabor's behavior towards Francesca Hilton, her own daughter, was one of her greatest sins. What changed in their mother-daughter relationship after Gabor's early excitement for presenting Francesca at red carpet events and social gatherings? The situation suddenly changed when Francesca showed no interest in wearing cosmetics. Their relationship truly took a hit at that point. The true sadness struck upon the death of Francesca's father, the multi-billionaire hotel magnate Conrad Hilton. Unfortunately, Francesca was left with a meager $100,000, a sum that may seem like a lot to others, but in her father's world, it was nothing. Francesca fought tooth and nail in court to obtain her rightful share, but her efforts were in vain. However, she was left bankrupt by the result of the financial damage caused by the legal battle. Ultimately, Francesca received no support from her mother, and she lived the rest of her life in extreme poverty. The 99-year-old celebrity experienced multiple health problems in her later years, such as a coma from a 2002 car accident, strokes, and a lung infection. She died on December 18, 2016, from a heart attack. Number 28. Milton Berle. Milton Berle, affectionately known as Uncle Milty to millions of people, had a darker side that led to him being known as the thief of bad gags. You might be curious about how someone who is so well-liked could partake in such dishonest behavior. During the 1993 MTV Video Music Awards, the legendary drag performer RuPaul decided to confront Berle. It appears that their on-screen chemistry was just a front, as they didn't really see eye to eye off camera. You can clearly see it in the visuals. RuPaul's effort to hand over the torch to the comedy veteran took an awkward turn when the conversation went off script, causing a strained working relationship and ultimately leading to RuPaul's exit from MTV. In addition, Berle succeeded in earning a lifetime suspension from Saturday Night Live on NBC. He went completely crazy during rehearsals when he guest hosted the show in 1979. He tried to take over the entire show and upstage his fellow cast members. What worsened the situation was that he repeatedly parodied previous comedic skits that were long since out of style. In an effort to keep the episode from being rebroadcast, the show's creator, Michael Lauren, tried to sweep this disaster under the rug. However, as fate would have it, recordings of the terrible performance emerged in 2003, exposing the real reason for this Hollywood star's jerky actions. Burl died at his home after a long battle with colon cancer.
Oh, shut up, will you? If you had money, you'd buy a seat.
Number 27, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is infamous for setting strange guidelines with Katie Holmes, both during and after their marriage. After their marriage, Cruise prohibited her from seeing other men, traveling with her daughter, and speaking to his other ex, Nicole Kidman. Anyone finds it challenging to tolerate Cruise's frequent outbursts about Scientology, but it becomes even more problematic when the religion revolves around space aliens. Nor is it limited to his strange Scientology practices. He reportedly instructed Navy sailors not to speak to him or even look at him when he was filming Top Gun 2. What a great example of respect for our armed forces. In 1999, during an appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, Tom Cruise shared a strange story on a flight to Colorado. He explained that due to the high altitude, he, his co-pilot, and a passenger were all wearing oxygen masks. However, Cruz soon realized he was almost out of oxygen and could perhaps pass out. So what did he do? Cruz said that in order to continue flying, he and the co-pilot turned off the passenger's oxygen mask rather than reducing altitude. Not surprisingly, the traveler fainted, and Cruz laughed throughout as he told the story. Who, after all, finds humor in this situation? It's just cruel.
No, just walls right now. We're just practicing on walls.
Number 26, Gene Kelly. The story goes that when beautiful dancer Sid Cerise came home from the MGM lot, she was covered in bruises, and her husband thought right away that she had been working with none other than Gene Kelly. Well, if that doesn't give you a clear idea of who Gene Kelly truly was, I don't know what will. You may assume that this is simply the result of being a little too hard during dancing practice, but it appears that there might be more sinister issues at play. During an underground fundraising mission in the USA, Kelly allegedly met in private with IRA leader Cathal Golding and gave him a check for a whopping $20,000. And if that wasn't enough, there are even rumors that Kelly stated that the money was meant for guns. In 1994, Gene Kelly experienced a mild stroke. He had a second stroke in 1995, and while he was stable afterwards, he never fully recovered. Kelly passed away on February 2, 1996. Patricia Ward Kelly, the widow of Gene Kelly, fiercely refuted all of these allegations. Although he was proud of his Irish background, she claimed he was not a violent person and that he just didn't have much money to spare. Number 25, John Wayne. Surprisingly, John Wayne identified as a liberal and a socialist early in his career. However, over time, his political beliefs sharply shifted to the right when he backed Barry Goldwater, a 1964 voter who opposed the Civil Rights Act. In an interview with Playboy from 1971, Wayne made some highly controversial remarks. He declared openly that he was a supporter of white supremacists, and surprisingly, that African Americans shouldn't enter public office unless they had reached a certain level of education. He was also a strong opponent of homosexuality, calling movies like Suddenly Last Summer too disgusting to even talk about, and calling Midnight Cowboy a perversion. The surprising part is that, despite his anti-homosexual views, Wayne unexpectedly became close to Rock Hudson. Their friendship lasted until Wayne's death in 1979. John Wayne's opinions are still controversial and haven't aged over time. When his films are played in class, some students at the film school can't resist leaving.
And I laid me down with a will. This be the verse you grave for me.
Number 24, Bette Davis. Davis's glitzy appearance contradicted several shocking episodes that highlighted her no-nonsense attitude. Imagine enjoying a lovely meal with Betty and director Herschel Doherty, only to be treated to a scene that would chill you to the bone. During dinner, Doherty made the serious error of waving his finger in Davis's face, which led to a reaction that emptied half the restaurant. Davis launched into a verbal assault so intense that, just like that, she calmly went back to her meal as if nothing had happened. She would frequently wipe her eyes in between takes to counteract the harsh lighting during the Mr. Skeffington filming, but someone took advantage of this habit and broke into her dressing room, poisoning her eye water. The culprit's identity remains unknown. Filmmaker Vincent Sherman is said to have teased detectives, saying, if you were to line up the cast and crew and ask them, okay, which one of you wanted to kill Betty Davis, 100 people would raise their hands.
And to say that he was enjoying our way of life.
Number 23, Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, from his humble beginnings to his later roles in comedy, had the ability to capture audiences. Still, his charming persona appeared to be more of a result of his acting skills than a genuine representation of who he really was. Later in life, Rooney developed an eccentricity that allowed him to make fun of his own persona by embracing self-mockery. The way his autobiography shamelessly boasts about his extramarital affairs captivates and disturbs readers. Rooney also revealed his close friend Judy Garland's brief relationship with a lady in his memoirs. Additionally, he reportedly revealed intimate facts about his previous wife, Ava Gardner's. These revelations fueled the belief that Rooney was prone to stepping outside of social norms and disclosing private information without feeling guilty. Such actions undoubtedly damaged his friends' and ex-partners' reputations in addition to his own. Craig Bennett, a Hollywood writer, fueled the flames with his book, True Confessions of a Shameless Gaggle. Bennett's accusations portrayed Rooney as a harsh and impolite person who was well known for his actions on and off screen. One of the most shocking claims involves Rooney's purported relationship with Elizabeth Taylor, who was just 14 years old at the time. This alleged relationship reportedly took place when he was 24 and filming National Velvet.
To work with Judy again, of course, for yours truly, for me, without being corny, we've had a wonderful 7 days together here.
Number 22, Joan Crawford. When Joan Crawford and Betty Davis clashed on the set of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, their backstage brawl turned into a legendary tale. The 2017 miniseries Fraud depicted their rivalry. They constantly tried to undermine each other as their feud escalated. Davis, determined to get Crawford removed from the film, did everything she could to undermine her. However, Crawford stood firm and continued to work on the project. In her 1978 autobiographical book, Mommy Dearest, Christina Crawford, Joan Crawford's adopted daughter, revealed a lifetime of alleged abuse. Christina's book revealed details of her difficult childhood and indicated that her mother's adoption of children was merely a PR gimmick. According to reports, Crawford may have acquired her children through secret methods. One birth mother even tried to get her child back shortly after Crawford had taken them home. Crawford died in New York City from a heart attack.
Study, study, study. Read, read, read. Work, work, work. Every minute of it.
Number 21, Chevy Chase. In case you didn't know, Chevy Chase's reputation as a horrible person is no joke. This one's for you. He tried to convince us that he is adorable and funny, but he's not. His SNL co-stars detested him as a host because he treats everyone badly, and he has a reputation of being an absolute jerk. His bad behavior and reputation didn't end when he left SNL. They have continued to haunt him throughout his entire career. He once made offensive remarks to one of the female writers, demonstrating that respecting people who write your lines is obviously not at the top of his priority list. Even more, Chase hates being polite to co-workers and fans alike. The elderly comedian even fired from NBC's hit show Community when he began to experience similar on-set problems. I'm Chevy Chase and you're not, he once informed John Belushi. He hates nearly everything he has ever done. At this point, it appears unlikely that he'll ever change his behavior. Number 20, Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin was a monster to his lovers, colleagues, and friends. Don't let the charming slapstick fool you. With films like The Kid, The Gold Rush, and Modern Times, Chaplin, arguably the most renowned star in Hollywood history and one of the greatest symbols of early cinema, left a remarkable legacy. However, there was a man notorious for his unstable anger and abuse to others around him hiding beneath that charming tramp persona. Chaplin had a reputation of being a stickler for detail and for getting upset with anyone who didn't live up to his high standards. Reports from the set described the comic genius throwing almost daily tantrums, being verbally abused nonstop, and being fired for no reason at all. Chaplin's personal life was equally chaotic, with several ex-wives accusing him of dominating behavior, emotional abuse, and widespread infidelity.
I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business.
Number 19. Wallace Berber. Was Wallace Berber Hollywood's greatest jerk ever? That might be true. Wallace Berber was a famous film actor in the United States. He was incredibly popular and successful, whether he was portraying a villain or a sweet aw shucks persona. Yet, the majority of reports from colleagues were negative. Let's go back to the early days of Hollywood and consider actor Wallace Berber, who was extremely popular in the 1930s and 40s. Both on and off the set, he was regarded as one of the worst guys. Berber was thought to be extremely difficult to work with because instead of memorizing his lines, he would often upstage his co-stars. Jackie Cooper and other child performers had very bad experiences with Berber. Cooper referred to Berber as a big disappointment, accusing him of attempting to undermine his performances out of jealousy. Cooper and Berber collaborated on multiple films together. Number 18. Errol Flynn. Entering the golden age of Hollywood, Errol Flynn was one of the few actors who perfectly personified the valiant hero. He was the epitome of dashing charm and boldness on screen. But off-screen, Flynn was surrounded by intrigue and scandal. In 1942, he was the subject of several statutory rape charges, which led to the iconic moniker, In Like Flynn. The harm to his reputation was great, even though he was never found guilty. In his 1980 biography, Errol Flynn, The Untold Story, Charles Higham revealed shocking details about the legendary swashbuckler. Higham not only asserted that Flynn had numerous same-sex affairs, but also charged him with having Nazi sympathies. He supported his claims with only circumstantial evidence, but later biographies eventually disproved them. His rough lifestyle damaged his appearance, limiting him to playing elderly alcoholics later in his career. The medical examiner stated that Flynn had the body of an 85-year-old man when he passed away in 1959 at the age of 50 from a heart attack.
Out on the blue Pacific with a cruiser of the fleet.
Number 17. Johnny Carson. With his wit and laid-back style, Johnny Carson captivated audiences as the late-night television king for 3 decades. However, Carson was well known behind the scenes for his wild actions and aggressive attitude. He would lose his temper at even the smallest annoyances and lash out at employees and visitors using foul words. Carson was known for making jokes about other celebrities. The actor Raymond Burr, who played Perry Mason, lost his cool when Carson kept making comments about his weight. Joan Rivers also claims that Carson cut all ties with her after she got her own show because he viewed her as a competitor and tried his hardest to ruin her career. In 1980, Johnny Carson withdrew from a deal to purchase the Aladdin Hotel and Casino, which was successfully taken over by Wayne Newton's group. Frustrated with how the media was portraying him as losing the transaction, Carson started making jokes about Newton on his show, which led to a public fight. Years later, Newton referred to Carson as mean-spirited on Larry King Live and said he had personally approached Carson on NBC threatening to have him stop making jokes.
Would you change anything in your life if you had to do it all over again?
Number 16. Frank Sinatra. Even though Old Blue Eyes enjoyed great success in his career, his personal life was equally well known for its numerous scandals and disputes. Due to his explosive temper and connections to organized crime figures, Sinatra often found himself in trouble. Over the years, Sinatra got into multiple physical fights with journalists, demonstrating the crooner's anger management problems towards the media. A famous piece of new journalism by Gay Talese, Frank Sinatra Has a Cold, described an episode in which Sinatra once got into an argument with writer Harlan Ellison at the Beverly Hills Club. The reason? Sinatra insulted Ellison just because he didn't like Ellison's boots. When Ellison stood firm, insisting that he dressed for himself, the two had a heated exchange before Ellison walked away. After that, Sinatra said to the management, "I don't want anyone in here without coats and ties."
Changing glances, wandering in the night.
Number 15, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was one of the few actors who could command the screen with sincere intensity. His roles in timeless films such as The Godfather, Viva Zapata, and A Streetcar Named Desire are generally legendary. However, Brando's tough approach was also evident off-screen, as he was known for being blunt, arrogant, and unconcerned with Hollywood customs. Brando was notorious for showing up late to set, holding up workers for hours at a time. Instead of memorizing his lines, he often largely improvised his language. It's probably a blessing that Brando didn't have to witness the rise of Twitter or Facebook. He was one of the earliest users of technology and the internet. Spending hours engaging in political debates with strangers in AOL chat rooms was one of his favorite past activities. His account was suspended often for ordering people to F off when he disagreed with them. In Brando's case, it was evident that talent came with a big ego. We're only halfway through our countdown of Hollywood's biggest jerks. Stay tuned. Number 14, Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, a well-known actor, has been involved in a lot of controversy because of his aggressive nature. One prominent instance was a voicemail rant aimed at his daughter that received a lot of media coverage. Baldwin's controversial image was made worse when he got into a violent brawl over a parking space. But which is the most disastrous event associated with Baldwin? Here it is. On the set of the movie Rust, Alec was carrying a prop gun when it went off. Helena Hutchins, the director of photography for the movie, died. Baldwin asserted that he was not accountable for the incident because he had been informed that the rifle was not loaded. He also claimed that he hadn't actually pulled the trigger. Baldwin was charged with involuntary manslaughter. These issues have had an ongoing impact on Baldwin's career and have created a lot of debate and criticism about his actions.
I'm getting the wind on me, and I'm sitting there the whole time going, China, China.
Number 13, Christian Bale. Christian Bale is well known for dropping 62 pounds for The Machinist in 2004 and then gaining the weight back for Batman Begins in 2005. He is equally known for his explosive temper off-screen. He has been recorded yelling at crew members on the set. One particularly well-known outburst from the Terminator Salvation movie highlights his strong and sometimes harsh personality. During the 2011 filming of Terminator Salvation, an audio tape of Bale's outburst went viral online, which led to the beginning of his reputation as a bit of a jerk. In the non-infamous clip, Bale unleashed a flurry of F-bombs and even threatened to kick a crew member. This episode has highlighted his behavior on set and generated conversations about the difficulties in working with him. Number 12, Robin Williams. While Robin Williams brought immense joy and laughter to countless people, we cannot ignore the complexities of his life beyond the screen. This shows that even our most beloved celebrities are not immune to problematic behavior. He had a past of acting rudely with crew members and copying jokes from other comedians. Ethan Hawke admitted that he found his late co-star from Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams, to be incredibly irritating. At 18, I found his constant jokes annoying and wouldn't laugh at anything he did, Hawke recalled.
It's time for your next adventure.
Number 11, Edward Norton. Edward Norton is known for being one of the most gifted but temperamental performers in Hollywood, having a history of clashing with producers, directors, and co-stars. One of the most notorious instances of Norton's aggressive behavior took place in 2008 during the production of The Incredible Hulk. Despite receiving accolades for his portrayal of Bruce Banner, Norton reportedly reworked portions of the script and had disagreements with Marvel Studios on the direction of the movie. Mark Ruffalo took Norton's place when it came time to film The Avengers a few years later, citing the need for an actor who shows the teamwork of the other cast members.
The kind of love that I'm talking about, you don't try to kill people.
Number 10, Shawn Penn. Shawn Penn is a talented actor recognized for his powerful performances. but he is also notorious for his violent outbursts, arrests, and controversial political involvement. His arrest for beating a photojournalist on the set of the film Colors marked the start of his legal issues. Penn's violent behavior extends beyond his dealings with the press. He faced domestic abuse charges after fighting with his then-wife Madonna. His friendships with figures like Hugo Chavez and Raul Castro have also attracted criticism. Number 9. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is well known for his powerful performances in movies like Gladiator, but he is notorious off-screen for his violent temper and unpredictable behavior. When Crowe couldn't get through to his wife, he lost his cool and threw the phone at the clerk, striking him in the face, leading to his imprisonment. After entering a guilty plea, Crowe was granted a conditional discharge. He has a history of fighting with directors, producers, and co-stars. One such incident involved him challenging Gladiator producer Branko Lustig to a boxing bout over a script disagreement. This event is only one of many.
The first story my father told me and the first story that I told each of you.
Number 8. Spike Lee. Celebrated director Spike Lee is well known for his politically charged, socially conscious films that tackle issues of race and justice. But his actions off-screen have occasionally eclipsed his contributions. He has a bad reputation for being rude. He frequently gets into arguments with celebrities and storms out of interviews. In one notorious instance, Lee showed up late for a college lecture in 2008 and gave a digressive speech. In response to a query from a student, he angrily told her to sit down and shut up. Lee has a history of fighting with other celebrities. He accused Quentin Tarantino of taking advantage of black culture for financial gain and openly attacked the director for his frequent use of racist language in his movies.
My real name is Shelton Jackson Lee.
Number 7. Clark Gable. Despite captivating audiences with his charisma, Clark Gable's life outside of the spotlight was far less attractive. There was a lot of rumor about his personal life, including multiple relationships, broken marriages, and an alleged hit-and-run incident. Gable and actress Loretta Young were secretly in love. They went to great lengths to hide Young's pregnancy, which resulted in her giving birth covertly in Europe. Initially, Young put the baby in an orphanage, but a few months later she chose to adopt her own daughter, Judy Lewis. Lewis thought she was adopted as a child until Young told her that Gable was her father. Young later made the heartbreaking admission that their connection had not been mutual, tarnishing Gable's image.
And this is where our real job begins. We're in the Graduate School of Gunnery now.
Number 6. Bob Hope. The legendary comedian Bob Hope, who was well known for his sharp humor, had a darker side outside of the spotlight. In spite of his charming public image, he was notorious for his sharp remarks and frequently made harsh jokes about homophobia and sexism in private. The most surprising element of Bob Hope's life was his legendary dispute with Bing Crosby. The two reportedly didn't get along despite having a great on-screen relationship. Hope once compared working with Crosby to playing tennis with someone who has no interest in the sport. Many believe Hope was jealous of Crosby's charisma and singing ability, which led to the rivalry.
Congratulate all you fellas for being such a wonderful...
Number 5. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is known for being problematic behind the scenes, even though she is considered America's sweetheart. She reportedly caused so much trouble for director Steven Spielberg during the 1991 Hook filming that he vowed never to work with her again. Bob Hoskins, her co-star, even referred to her as a nasty piece of work. Her personal life has seen its share of difficulties. Tragically, her half-sister, Nancy Moats, died from a drug overdose in 2013. And in a suicide note, she blamed Roberts for contributing to her depression.
Telling her no woman has ever looked that beautiful.
Number 4. Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is not as well liked off-screen, despite her on-screen persona being a tough woman. Even though she presents a humble image, she admitted to being impolite to admirers, explaining that it's how she defends herself in public. After making a joke on the Graham Norton show about scratching her butt on holy Hawaiian rocks, Lawrence provoked outrage. Many thought the joke was inappropriate and insensitive, even though she eventually apologized. She has additionally come under fire for her condescending demeanor in media appearances. A journalist observed that Lawrence was more interested in her phone than in responding to questions, describing her as unengaged and uncooperative. Number 3. Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball transformed the modern sitcom and pushed the boundaries of what could be shown on TV. However, she was extremely picky behind the scenes. Lucy bossed everybody around and didn't spare anybody's feelings, according to Tony Randall. Richard Burton referred to Lucy as a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor in 1979 and implied that he might have killed her if he had been drunk. Once she completely disregarded a flight attendant while on an airline. Her assistant said, "I'm sorry, Miss Ball doesn't communicate with the help." Number 2. Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard has a troubled history despite his seemingly nice nature. In the first season of Empire, Terrence Howard's character, Lucius Lyon, used treachery, infidelity, and murder to solidify his reputation as an anti-hero. Lori McComas, his first wife, was talking to him in a real strong way, so he beat her. Additionally, his second wife, Michelle Gant, alleged that Howard threw her across the hotel room, then picked her up, took her to the balcony, and threatened to throw her over the railing. Number 1. Johnny Depp. It has come to light that Depp arrived late for the shoot, leaving his fellow actors and hundreds of crew members waiting for hours. When Depp was jailed in 1994 for damaging his hotel room, he tried to blame an armadillo he claimed was hidden in the closet, which was never discovered. After a fight over completing production, City of Lies site manager Greg "Rocky" Brooks filed a lawsuit against Johnny Depp, saying that Depp had hit him twice. Brooks claimed that Depp offered him money to hit back just before security took him off the set.
And action!
Don't forget to share and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Also, let us know in the comments who you think is the biggest jerk in Hollywood history.